Hi everyone, my name is Raleigh Carter. I am a gymnastics coach and business owner, and I just put together the coach's toolkit. It's got 1,000 drills, skills, and progressionary ideas, and I just kind of want to show you what's inside. I put together these little tiny pictures. I've been working on this for my own gyms on building curriculum and helping my employees in employee training and content development and stuff. And so I'm just going to run you through what's inside the gymnastics coach's toolkit so you can kind of get an idea. So I organized everything by skill categories. You can see jumps, drops, forward, rotation, backwards. This is on a trampoline. So here you have jump ideas. There's not every idea possible. There are the ideas that I see are the most direct, straightforward route to developing and progressing in the sport of gymnastics, because there's hundreds of thousands of variations. Because to just get 1,000 of these built and put on a website, it's taken me over a year. And because there's so many other variations, I just am including the ones that I see the most important for advanced level tumbling, dance, etc. So as time goes on, maybe I'll add to this with suggestions and recommendations. I can always build more. But here you just see I have included progressionary steps, and I put it together in its own challenging. I'll go to floor for a good example of this, floor rolling. I tried to put it together in an order of progressionary of difficulty as well. So if you're doing rolling prep and you want to do some rocking from hands to feet or shoulder leaning or rolling on your back, there's beginner level stuff. Then we get into wedge rolling and some beginner level ideas of what you can do excuse me, with wedge rolling. And then, rolling across the floor is a little bit more difficult than rolling across the wedges or down the wedges. And then you got some panel mats and blocks, which increases difficulty. And then we're dealing with rolling with connections, and there's a little gap that you can reach over and roll across the gap. And then you got rolling up. And so showing how rolling can progress, especially for those coaches that are newer or having to come up with your own ideas, and you may not understand how far you can take rolling or the direction that rolling is supposed to go, because oftentimes it just turns into one or two things. And then everyone gets stuck and it's not fun anymore. So I've got everything you can see on the side here: handstands, cartwheels. Let's click on handstands and see what we have here. So we've got some handstand drills. Can you walk your feet up the wall? Different handstand stuff going on. Handstands with panel mats. Now, I'm going to show you on this side over here, crawling. So I put things in order of categories, and this would be like run, jump, crawl, roll, handstands. The reason why I put crawling first and then rolling is because crawling, obviously, you can support weight on your arms and legs. And so crawling can kind of mimic the handstand action in the sense of when you take your feet away, then you're doing a handstand. But for me, it's putting the weight on your arms and weight on your shoulders. And then rolling is basically putting the weight or inverting your body for a very brief second. So that's the reason why I have rolling next. And then handstands is basically inverting your body and trying to support all of your weight for a sustained period of time. And so progressing in difficulty that way also is the way that I've personally built it out and how I like to use it. Let's get into some tumbling stuff, because this could be interesting. So we're doing some front head spring work. Here's some drills for front head springs, different things you can do for front head springs. Then you get into a front head spring with a handstand forward roll for some connection ability and just to see if you have proper power out. This pike action with this that throws into the arch, this pike to arch. I mean, this is a theme that we see in all level of tumbling, all skills of advanced high level tumbling. So that's the reason why the head spring is involved. But as you can see, once you develop the head spring, it's not really that hard to put energy into the system and then do fly springs. Now, one thing that does make it challenging in the sense of this may not be the place to learn fly springs. I would much rather learn a fly spring on a trampoline, because it's easier to learn a fly spring on trampoline. So I'm going to go through trampoline drills, me personally, and develop fly spring drills through trampoline development. And then it's a lot easier to cross that over into other things. And so then we have everything else that comes out of that. Looks like I might add a few things into my fly spring. Oh, there's some fly spring action development. The correlation here, and you might start noticing certain shapes, like you have a pike to open to straight. There's the pike to arch that we'll see over here, and there's another pike to arch. And understanding this relationship of pike to arch and how pikes and arch work, which is what oftentimes you see with the pike flipping. And when it comes to tumbling, handsprings, different things like that, I noticed that a lot of coaches were not correlating the similarities between doing a front pike open, which is pike to straight, but a front pike open They were not correlating that hip action to fly springs, to other skills. And so a lot of these images have helped me communicate to coaches, like, do you see the similarities between a front handspring and a front pike open to straight, and a front layout? How a front layout might have more of a pike takeoff on a trampoline, and then it drives open, whether you want a straight layout or an arched layout, maybe a front whip is what we're kind of thinking. Let's see if we get some other. Here's another example of the front pike open to straight with a twist. And so this pike open action is very similar to head springs, which have a pike open action. Just one stops it straight, the other one goes all the way through to arch. Let's see, if I go to track, let's see what fly springs look like, or front whips look like on track. So you can see I'm using pike open to introduce fly spring tumbling because it's going to have a pike open effect. And then we're learning pike open to arch or bridge. And then we're taking that pike open to our feet. And so there's this progressive shape development that's also happening in the material. And then you can start seeing fly springs have this, maybe more hollow, but hollow is an extended version of a pike, essentially. It's just a less extreme version. It's a little bit more smooth in shape, but you got this hollow to arch. Well, if you can't even pike to arch, hollow to arch is going to be actually a little bit more tricky to learn. And so then we get to flipping. Let's see, we've got whips. So whips, you can see that the takeoff is going to have a hollow action. It can have a pike action. You can even over dramatize the flip in a hollow or a pike action and then arch out of it. So you got this pike, arch, pike, arch. And this relationship of pike to arch, when you start seeing it in these images, it becomes a lot easier to start communicating to the students to be like, okay, we're doing a roll for a specific reason, and we're taking that roll and we're doing it in the head spring for a specific reason. We're doing the front pike open for a specific reason. And you start to see that the specific reason is to get really good at doing a pike open to straight or arch, which then is going to translate maybe to a hollow open to straight or arch. And the more energy you can put into the system, the more you can control that. The gymnastics just kind of follows. So a lot of this is built into that. But this is not also the only fun stuff. Let's see what else we got. We got some conditioning in here. So all this conditioning is the stuff we use for our competitive program, and you got it broken down into, like, if you want endurance skills, or if you want to do some speed development, or if, let's just say, you're doing force, so you want to get stronger in kind of your 1 rep max. I broke up the legs into kicking, running, and rebounding and jumping because there's different ways of developing your legs. And so if we want to develop our running ability to develop force, we got some teacup action, which is standing up on one leg. We got endurance, so you're just going to push mats as long and fast as you possibly can. You got speed, so everything's about quick movement, change of direction. And you got some coordination development. So if you're going to do single leg high knees, single leg bottom kickers, just getting your legs coordinated with your arms. So there's some different things going on with that. We even got pressing included. Now, not everyone's going to go through the pressing. There's tons of flexibility you could do for pressing development, but this is kind of like, can you do a straddle swim through? And then it's like, yeah, then you've got the mobility you're going to, for the most part, need. There's some upper thoracic mobility you might need. Then there's some tension drills, different things you can do for holds. And this is the pressing conditioning we do to just develop pressing across the board for the athletes. A lot of it comes down to just their strength to weight ratio more than it does the actual drills. And so students who are lighter and can have a stronger strength to weight ratio just tend to press a lot easier. And those that struggle in that area, you have to develop in other areas to make the pressing more straightforward. Let's get into skill development. So what I want to also show you. I also put together some fun stuff here that's included. This is the bonus material inside. And I'm pretty proud of this. This took me a long time to put together, but let's just talk about acceleration. So I put together just little lessons on acceleration. Here's a good little example right here is when you slow down, you actually strike your heel. This is something I noticed over the years, is that athletes who are slowing down in their run, when they go to hurdle, they stutter step or slow down, their heel actually strikes, and then they start to get, you hear sievers and you hear these heel problems, and kids will wear those little heel boots. But a lot of it I found was caused because they're just literally slowing down and striking their heel into the ground, and over time that just beats your heel up. So understanding acceleration and deceleration is huge. Let's go to center of mass. Understanding how your center of mass is used in relationship to your body and the positioning of your body. Like if I drop my arms down, it adjusts where my center of mass might be orientated, and how my mass might be higher or lower depending on positions of body. And this all affects efficiency of flipping and movement. And so if you don't understand these concepts, oftentimes corrections just kind of seem like good ideas, but they're not as directional as the physics that is actually driving the story. Even just understanding flight paths and understanding what you need to do more in your flight path. Does the flight path need to go up more? Does it need to travel out farther? Does it need to be flatter, lower, longer? So just what are the changes that needs to happen to make these flight paths? And then how can you link these flight paths up together, and what does it look like? Like a back handspring, back tuck might have a back handspring flight path is a much more shallow, flat dome, and then a back tuck has a much more higher peak, higher amplitude. Shift, talking about how are you going to move your body around your center of mass, and how do you, this shape change essentially, as everyone terms it, shape change. How does shape change really affect the skills? It's a really complex idea, and it took me a lot to figure out how to break this down. There's even more work to be done here, but I'm giving what I have out for free in the sense of this is a bonus material. This is going to be going into a lot of the gym toolbox for gyms who want to train their staff. Understanding how to rotate, fixed axis rotation, loading, launching a surface, the loading phase, the timing phase of how your center of mass travels in relationship to your contact point, which is where your feet are. It's just everything. And then how does shape change work when you're in the air? Because shape change in the air has a different level of physics and mechanics built into the story than if you're attached to a surface. And so you need to understand those things. Then we got what's kind of fun is if you click on like back handspring tumbling, I actually explain to you what needs to be happening in the back handspring. Where's the load? Where's the travel? Where's the shift? Where's the launch? What happens if you load on the rise? If you squat in the pivot? If you have slow rotation? There's just all these things that happen in the back handspring that everyone's trying to solve. And how long should a back handspring be? What happens if our flight paths are going in different directions? If I travel too low, what does just right look like? What happens if I travel too high? And there's a couple options of traveling too high. And so just understanding these details inside of the skills can really help you kind of troubleshoot the problems that you might be dealing with your athletes. If I want to change direction and go up now, what position do I need to be in the launch? What's the height that I want to travel? This is a little fun one, is the height that you want to travel in your layout. I took off of the relationship of a high-level athlete who was doing a triple-double in relationship to her height. And so in her triple-double. And so basically her triple-double happened around this relationship. So it was like 1.5 body lengths high, the height point being of where her center of mass was in relationship to her body. And then her length that she traveled, I guesstimated by the video that I was watching, but it was roughly a little bit longer than her full body length stretched out. And so this would be like the distance. So if you can do a layout this high at this distance, then you're in the air long enough to pull off harder tricks and skills. And so this is just like a little key tidbit that's like, hey, get your layout this good, and then other skills are just going to become easier along the way. And so, and this is what I've put together because I just want to make gymnastics more straightforward and simple and a practical application in what can I do with this information. And so here's some front handspring stuff and just breaking it down. There's still more work to be done. Like there's still more work to be done. Additionally, if you go to my website that you're going to go purchase everything on, by the way, it's $99 to buy. But let's just go to the free stuff because who cares about the buying stuff? I have videos of me talking about lots of coaching philosophies and just different ideas that have been gathered over the years, whether it was me working at International Gymnastics Camp as a coach for a couple summers and the information I gleaned from really high-level coaches there, or it's going to coaching camps or clinics and working with whether it was the national training staff or other people that just kind of understanding the nuances that need to be understood. And I'm kind of compiled it and put it together in a lot of these videos. And so just trying to get you guys more information to make your life easier, because me personally, after the pandemic happened with my businesses and having my top level coaches leave and go work at other gyms, which that was necessary and good for them, it really made me realize like how I need to get the information that's inside of my head out of my head a lot faster so that other people can learn it quicker, and that the information does not just flow through me directly inside of my gym. And so I built a lot of this stuff for my employees so that they have access to it, so that they don't have to come to me to find all the answers. And I don't have to work on the one-on-one mentorship so much because they have access to just go at home on their computers and find this information. And so that's what I've been doing, is building it for you. You also can have the conditioning flexibility for free as well. If you choose to buy, you go to my website, gymnasticsframework.com, and it'll give you a little bit more of the rundown. There's over 1,000 of these images. And so there's ones for bars, beam, turning, leaping. I'm going to actually show you the leaping one because I'm kind of proud of the leaping one. So let's see if we can find that. The leaping one, let's see where we at here. Dance, leap, turning. Okay, so this one was kind of fun for me to design. So we got some Sassones, we got Sassones off blocks, we got some leaps, we got some leaps up a mat, leaps off a block, all the basic stuff. Switch leaps with a little springboard aspect. You got to land with your feet together. Some people have them forward roll out. Switch leap off a panel mat. And then we get into like switch leap off a block. You got the tourniquet stuff that you got to break down, which is really like fouette hop with turns. And then you got leap turning, and this looks like we are doing a leap tourniquet. So that's the leap full or leap full. Then we got leap full off with no mat. Then we got the switch leap, so you can see the arm leading behind you with the switch and the head looking backwards as the leg is swinging the opposite direction. So really trying to do my best of a job to follow, even just like this little one right here where your head is turned, but your chest is not. The little nuances, I was watching videos and really trying to mimic, finding the best examples, and then using my images to mimic arm positions, angles of foot and everything to mimic what is happening in the real world. So my tumbling shapes, my bar shapes, they're based off of videos of other athletes. While the concepts are true, I'm also trying to find real world applications so that they're not idealistic. Because the one problem I personally have had with gymnastics material over the years is that they create the idealistic, what gymnastics perfectly should look like. And doesn't really play out practically because there's so many nuances within an athlete's ability level, their mobility, their strength, their size. And so I really wanted to capture the practical side of an athlete and what it's really going to look like and not go for the idealistic mode. So there's kind of a artistic license being taken in delivering this information. So this is the Gymnastics Coaches Toolkit. Okay, again, it is $99. You get lifetime access to a website. I add you to it, and you get lifetime access to it. So $99. And you don't have to pay a monthly subscription. I just put you in there and boom, you have access to it the rest of your life. And so that's it. That's what I want to share with you. I hope that you find this information valuable. I'm going to be building this information, an extended version for businesses so that you can actually train your employees using the information. It's going to go even more in depth because what I found was there's 3 ways to actually organize the information. The information organized for the Gymnastics Coaches Toolkit is organized by event. When you get into business and you go into lesson planning, you don't want to just organize by event. The information actually has to be organized in such a way that you can build lesson plans out of it as well. And then if you go into the competitive side, you actually care more about a streamlined view on how you're going to get there. And so it's not generally actually event driven. It's more skill and effort driven. And so it's more like, what is the best surface to learn that section on in the skill? Is it trampoline, tumble track, floor? Is it strap bar? Is it real bars? Is it uneven bars? Where should I learn? Where should I start the story? And then how do I progress through the events or use the events as tools to progress the skill over time? And so that's the team competitive type of style is what I've noticed is to be the most effective. So to break all 3 of those pieces down into different libraries or toolkits, that's kind of what I'm going to be working on next. But this is what we have right now. It's $99, lifetime access. Just trying to get the word out there. So hopefully you find the same value I find in it, but I'm really happy to bring this to everybody. And hopefully you can buy it and enjoy it for years to come. So see ya.